Hi, you have tuned in to the Raging Aggron channel, and I'm your host, Djingis, and I'm here with week 1 of PSL Season 5, and today we're facing off versus my good buddy Lords and the Munich Miltanks. And I'm kinda scared for this matchup. I do think I have a very good team versus it, but at the same time it's a very difficult matchup, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know if I will be able to win, actually. I think I have enough power on my team to break through his mons, but at the same time I'm not too sure that I have enough bolt on my team to take care of his offensive mons. It actually depends completely on what sets he brings. There are, I would say, 3 different sets of Necrozma that can destroy me, but 8 other sets of Necrozma that can't do anything versus me. The same goes for a number of other things on his team, and we will go through his team so you can see what he has, and I will try to point out different aspects of it as well if you are not aware of the changes we have made here. So before we go any further, this is the team that we will face. We will face the Munich Miltanks, and he has Djingis, Necrozma, Galarian Weezing, Talonflame, Eldegoss, Regigigas, Shedinja, Hydreigon, Zeraora, Quagsire, Abominable, and Hariyama. It's not a very defensive team. Outside of Galarian Weezing and Quagsire, it's not that defensive. It has some bulk, but on this team Necrozma might be the bulkier mon, and that can be a problem, but it actually kind of wants to be offensive versus me, making it that he only has Galarian Weezing and Quagsire that's really good bulk. I guess Assault Vest Hariyama can be a bit of a problem, but still that shouldn't be too hard to deal with. Djingis is nerfed. It's not as good as it was before, so we are allowing it this time around. King's Shield is not that big of a threat any longer, it's just -1 if I make a contact move, and I don't think I have a lot of contact moves. I think I have 2 of them. But if this is Sword Stand set, I will have a hard time dealing with it. I think I have 2 ways to deal with it if it is that set, and I need to make sure that I preserve those mons for that opportunity. Necrozma can be a lot of different things. If it is a subset, upset, if it's a normal set upset, if it is Dragon Dance, or is it something else. It can be very hard to deal with, especially if it boosts its defenses. It can be very hard to deal with, but I have ways to work around that as well. Galarian Weezing will most likely just be here to spam defog, toxic, those kinds of things. I'm still not sure if it will bring neutralizing gas or if it will be levitate. In the mock battles I have done, it has been levitate, but I do think that neutralizing gas can be better. Talonflame, no idea if that will come at all. It got a slight boost thanks to heavy duty boots, but I don't think it will do anything versus me. Eldegoss, it could come for rapid spin, but I'm not. If it comes, that's dead weight on his team, as you will see later on. I'm not too worried about Eldegoss, I can defeat that pretty easily. Regigigas can be a bit of a problem if it is a SPDF set, and especially if it runs Protect, which it has access to now. Slow Start is still a big minus for it, but it's actually pretty viable right now. Shedinja I don't see coming at all. I have so many ways to work around its Wonder Guard, so it's not a problem. Hydreigon is only a problem if it is Specs or Nasty Plot. If it is Scarfed, it's not that big of a concern for me, and even if it is Specs, it doesn't do that much damage to me. Zeraora is a bit of a concern, though, because if it is offensive with a Scarf, or if it is Expert Belt, Life Orb, Choice Spell, whatever, it can be very hard to deal with. It has Volt Absorb, which makes it a perfect counter for Tapu Koko. As you saw, I brought Tapu Koko, which means that it doesn't really need to have Quagsire in this matchup to stop Tapu Koko. But Quagsire, which are the next one we're going to talk about here, is still a very good mon versus me because it do actually stop me from setting up. And I have very hard ways to deal with it, especially if it is a toxic Protect set with recovery. It will be very hard to deal with. Abominable I don't see coming at all, it's just a trash mon overall versus me, and Hariyama is the better fighting type out of the 2. So I do think that Hariyama might come. The 6 mons that I predict the Lords to bring is the Djingis, Necrozma, Galarian Weezing, Hydreigon, Zeraora, and Quagsire. Those are the ones that I think he will bring, and I think he will bring some form of setup Djingis, some form of either Specs or Scarf Hydreigon. I do think Expert Belt or Life Orb Zeraora makes a lot of sense. The Necrozma can be a lot of different sets, and I'm not too sure what it will be. I am expecting Galarian Weezing and Quagsire to be physical versus defensive walls to deal with my team. I can see Harijama come in, I can see Eldegoss maybe, Djingis maybe, but that's about it. I'm pretty sure that Djingis across my Galarian Weezing, Hydreigon, Zeraora, and Quagsire are the 6 monsters that he will bring versus me. Those are the big threats at least. So let's go back to my team and I will talk you through why I brought the things I brought. So first out we have AC/DC out Tapu Koko with Life Orb, Electric Surge, Volt Switch, Grass Knot, Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, 88 HP, 52 defense, 252 special attack with Modest Nature, and 116 in speed. The reason I only have 116 in speed is that I will not be able to outspeed Scarf Hydreigon, Adamant, well, Jolly, Talonflame, or Zeraora with Tapu Koko, which means that I just need to outspeed Specs Hydreigon with this thing. Volt Switch is just really good to have. I feel like that's better. It's better to have Volt Switch than U-Turn in this matchup. If he has Quagsire, I'm just gonna hard switch and preserve the Volt Switch so he doesn't think I have it. I do have the Grass Knot for Quagsire as well, so I'm not too worried about it if it comes in on a Volt Switch or something like that. Dazzling Gleam is just there to deal with his fighting types and Hydreigon, of course, and then Thunderbolt is there for big damage. The reason I went special in this match is because he has a pretty good physically defensive walls in Quagsire and Galarian Weezing. So special does hit his tarm much harder, and it actually makes Tapu Koko better in this matchup as well. I could have gone physical with Play Rough, but I do think this is the better set to bring. Next up we have Arch Enemy, our Dragapult with Joyspecs, Infiltrator, Shadow Ball, U-Turn, Draco Meteor, Scald, with 216 HP, 20 attack, 252 special attack with Rash Nature, and 20 speed. Same thing here, Dragapult is 1 base speed slower than Zeraora. I won't be able to outspeed it. I have no reason to outspeed a Scarf Hydreigon because I have better ways to deal with that. So Dragapult is literally just here to nuke things as hard as possible that it can outspeed. And it will outspeed everything minus Talonflame, and as I said, I have ways to deal with Talonflame as well. It doesn't really have a good switch into Shadow Ball. U-Turn is really good just to see what his switching into this thing is. The Draco Meteor destroys his team, and Scald is really good to have in case I want to burn something like the Aegislash, which would be tremendously good if it comes in for some stupid reason. But yeah, Joyspecs Dragapult should deal around 50% to everything on his team at least, and it just hits very hard. Infiltrator is there to make sure that it can't set up screens versus me, or set up substitutes, and so forth. It's just a very good utility ability to have, really. I didn't really need Curse Body, and I definitely didn't need Clear Body in this much, at least in my opinion. Next up we have 9 Lashes, our Tangrowth with Leftovers, Regenerator, Toxic, Leech Seed, Earthquake, and Knockoff, with 252 HP, 56 attack, and 20 defense, 200 defense, with Relaxed Nature. He can break this down on the special side, of course, but he has nothing that can take this on the physical side unless it sets up. And even if it sets up, the monster thing has set up with doesn't really want to face a Toxic, Leech Seed, Earthquake, Knockoff combination. With Regenerator, I can just switch in other monsters and I can make sure that Tangrowth can stay healthy. I don't really need Leftovers on this thing. And I might actually change that to Rocky Helmet just to break down his team even more. I'm not sure. I might do that actually. And because I don't really need the Leftovers, since I have Regenerator and Leech Seed. So yeah, that could be a way to deal with it. But I do think Leftovers might be better in the long run, especially if Regenerator can't heal as much as I wanted to between turns, then Leftovers would be very good to have. Sambritorna, I might change it, I will inform you if I do. But Leftovers Tangrowth I think is better here than Rocket Helm, but I might change it up, it depends. Next up we have Nightwish, our shiny Umbreon with Leftovers, Synchronize, Heal Bell, Wish, Protect, and Taunt. I had from the beginning I had Toxic on this thing instead of Heal Bell, but I do feel that Heal Bell is more important for my team in this matchup, because then it can stall me out. Wish is there to make sure that things like Tapu Koko and Dragapult can take some hits, even if they don't really want to take them well, but they can still take them. Taunt is there to make sure that things like his stupid sword thing, his Aegislash, and his the Crossback can't set up on me, so I'm not too worried about that. And in both cases, depending on if it is special, physical, I can go into 9 Lash and 9 lashes and take care of the rest from there. So Aggron is just really good here. As you can see, I don't have an offensive move here, but I do think Taunt is a very good utility move to have instead of Foul Play, for example. Next up, we have the first big change here. From the beginning, I had Pseudo-Voodoo instead of Cloyster, but I do think that Blue Aristocratic Cloyster is better here, especially with the White Herb skill link set with Shell Smash, Rock Blast, Icicle Spear, and Surf. 168 attack with Naughty Nature, 196 special attack, and 144 speed. With this speed, I outspeed everything that isn't scarfed on his team after a Shell Smash. Icicle Spear, after Shell Smash, destroys his whole team, minus Unaware Quagsire. Unaware Quagsire I can only deal with Surf, but even that doesn't do too much damage. So if it brings Quagsire, I need to get rid of that before I can send out Cloyster. And it's pretty good defensively as well. It has pretty good normal defensive stats, so it should be able to take some hits at least. And I can always wish it up again with Night Wish. I just need to make sure that I Shell Smash on the right opportunity, because if I do, I will win the game, because it can't have anything to stop it, unless it has Quagsire, of course. Rock Blast, I don't really need Rock Blast, because Icicle Spear and Surf takes care of his Talonflame, but I couldn't really find another move that would work really well here. And I don't know what it would be instead of Rocket Blast. The only thing I could think of really would be something like Curse maybe, but then again it's minus speed and I don't really want that, need a speed, so it doesn't really work. Yeah, it doesn't really have a thought of Mudshot from the beginning, but but I can deal with Mudshot for the Aegislash, but Icicle Spear does actually KO it if I hit all 5, which I will do thanks to Skill Link and it being 100%, so I don't really know. Well, wait here, I do think Pin Whistle. I forgot Pin Whistle was a thing. I'm gonna go Pin Whistle instead of Rocket Spear, Rock Blast, because Pin Whistle does actually destroy Necrozma. I forgot this thing got Pin Whistle. I'm so stupid. Okay, now I know for 100% certainty that I can deal with Necrozma with this thing as well. That's good. I should have thought of that beforehand. I am slower than Necrozma, I just pointed that out, but I have enough speed to outspeed non-speed invested Necrozma, and even some speed creep on Necrozma can outspeed. So that's good, but at the same time, if it is max speed Necrozma with Apotemize, I won't be able to outspeed it, and it might be able to 1-hit KO me, it might be able to 2-hit KO me. If it is 1-hit KO, then it's not a lot to do about it, I just have to wish that I can defeat it beforehand. But yeah, that's about that for Cloyster. And then last but not least, we have Hatebreed, the Paragon 2 with Evil Eye Trace, Foul Play, Recovery, Psychic, Toxic with 252 HP, 252 Defense, Bold Nature with 4 Special Attack. The reason I have Paragon 2 here, from the beginning I had Orbital with Webs, Bugabuzz, U-Turn, Recover, with Frisk, with ability Frisk, and I just need to get up Webs, because with Webs he has nothing that can really take care of this team, but since he has Sudowoodo on that team as well, I was very needed of Webs. Webs needed to stay up, and he could just switch in his Weezing very freely on me and just defog them away, so I didn't really have that opportunity here, sadly. So Paragon 2 was a better bring here, because it actually deals both the physical and special side better than Orbital does. And with Foul Play I can take care of everything on his team that does physical damage, of course. If it is Dragon Dance, the Necrozma Foul Play is really good versus that. If it is Sword Stance, Aegislash, I destroy him with Foul Play. Psychic is there for coverage, just to make sure that I can cover in the fighting type mounts, even if I don't really want to stay in on them. But that actually means that I can hit them on the switch in as well. Toxic is just there for utility, really, and it's must either I have it Toxic on Paragon or I have it on Umbreon, and I feel like Heal Bell on Umbreon is better overall than having Toxic taking up another move slot on Paragon 2. The reason for Trace is because if I can trace the... I forgot the ability of Necrozma now. But yeah, in the Prism Scale, that's its ability. If I can get the Prism Scale onto Paragon 2, I'm pretty sure that close combat from some of his monsters does 25-30% to Paragon 2, which is insane. I can just stay in and wall his team, no problem, if that's the case. So that's my plan with this thing, to make sure that I can't kill it very easily. And even if clicks knockoff then, I still have the pre-scales up, so I should still be able to take hits pretty decently, and I can foul play or psychic or recover or whatever toxic. But this is Team ACDC, the Tapu Koko arch enemy, the Dragapult, 9 Lashes, the Tangrowth, Nightwish, the Umbreon, Blue Oyster Cult, the Cloyster, and Hatebreed Oregon 2. And when I'm recording this, I still don't know if I will do a live record of the match or if it will be post-recording. I do think I will do live, but it actually depends on the number of things in my home, what the rest of my family do. Because we will start pretty late with the battle. Not late, but late for the rest of my family, compared to when they Sunday and they have to go up early and work on Monday and so forth, so yeah. But we work something out, but with that, I will see you in the battle. Okay, here we are at the battle, and as you can see, it's been a couple of days. I have a new shirt on, for example, and I think it's 4 days since I did the battle, and Lors brought a very different team to what I thought, especially set-wise. He brought 4 months that I absolutely thought would come: Aegislash, and Necrozma, Zeraora, and Galarian Weezing. But then he brought Hariyama and Regigigas, which I was a bit surprised over, but it was some nice take on his part, especially with the Regigigas, which actually made it a bit harder to do this game. But at the same time it was pretty fine, and it didn't hurt me too much. It's a very interesting team. Regigigas might be AV, I can see Hariyama be AV, I can see both of them be AV. Weezing will most likely have default, which means that it has a dead move on it, which is really good for me. He doesn't have any way at all to deal with Cloyster, especially after I set up, and I should be able to take care of his team pretty easily with Cloyster. But at the same time, he doesn't really have a lot to Dragapult or a lot to Koko, especially not since he didn't bring his Quagsire, so he has nothing for my offensive ones here. Defensively, I don't think he can break me, looking at the team. I mean, it actually depends on what set Necrozma is, on what set that Aegislash is. If they are offensive sets with Dragon Dance or Nasty Plot or whatever, Calm Mind, it can be very hard for me to deal with it with Tapu Koko, with Umbreon and P2, I mean. But overall it should be fine. But we'll go into the game. If I remember correctly, I lead with the Tangrowth and he leads with Regigigas. He has the slow start of course, then goes out into Weezing and I click knockoff, which is big, because I get rid of his Black Sludge on turn 1. That is huge, otherwise this would be so much problem. But here you also see that it does a ton of damage to me with the Galarian Weezing with Strange Stream, and it also confuses me. I think it has like a 20% chance to confuse me. I think it confused me every single time he used it, something like that, so that was fun. But I do get off the Leech Seed and boom, almost back to 3/4, and I go up into P2, take this like it was nothing, and he goes down even lower, and I'm almost back to full health on P2 as well. He goes out into Aegislash, click Psychic just to see what he would do. I get Split Drop, doesn't really matter because I have to see what he does here, but I thought he would set up, but instead he goes for the sub, which is really big. And I click Foul Play on this, because I actually thought that no matter what he does, Foul Play should be able to break whatever he does. And if he goes for SD, Foul Play should kill him. If he goes for the Substitute, it should break the Substitute, but I did not think that he would be adamant. If he wasn't adamant, or in this case, the defense boosting nature, I don't think he would have. I would have taken out the Substitute if it wasn't that the nature is, so to speak. Which is kinda sad, but at the same time it was a good prep. He couldn't really stay in here, but I do go for, I think I stay in, no, I switch out into Umbreon and he just go for Toxic. I don't really care for Toxic, I have Synchronize, but he's immune of course, and I do have the Heal Bell, so it doesn't really matter too much to me. He goes for King's Shield here, I don't really care, I just go for Taunt, and since King's Shield only protects against physical moves, or moves in general, it doesn't really do too much when it comes to status moves. He goes for Stats Chains, goes for Shadow Ball, and now we have seen his whole moveset, which is King's Shield, Shadow Ball, Substitute, and I've got it now, Toxic of course. That set can attack, I mean, it can't deal with P2 at all. So I just go into P2 here every single turn, and he can Toxic me, sure, but I do have Heal Bell here on Nightwish, and I can just wish it up because he can't touch me. Which means that P2 has a field day versus this thing, and I will be able to whittle it down foul plays, especially Because I'm pretty sure that foul play has 24, yeah, and he only has 16 substitutes, so I should be able to whittle it down, and if I can break it with other things as well, it should be fine. So I'm not worried about this Egg Slash any longer. It's very easy to break down for me, so I don't really care. I do have the heal bell, making this set even more useless for him. So he switches out into Harajama as I got into Program 2, which was a bit of a misplay, because I thought it would go for another Shadow Ball. So I have to go out into Tangrowth here as he goes back into Necrozma. So some switches here, I go back out into Program 2 to take the Prism Armor, because that is really good for me, and he goes for the Iron Defense. I was okay, if this is... and then goes for Calm Mind. So at this time I'm thinking, okay, he must be Weakness Policy. Especially after him going for +2 defense, that means that he is Weakness Policy. I cannot attack this thing. I cannot allow to attack this thing. If I deal with foul play, I will boost it and it will destroy my team. So I can't touch this thing, I need to whittle it down in other ways. Which means that I click Toxic. And this thing is of no concern any longer, especially not since I go out into Nightwish and he goes out for another Calm Mind here. And he goes for Exercise, which does 30%. It's nothing I taunt him, so he can't sit up any longer. He's Toxic, I have Wish Protect, so I just stole this thing out from here. And he goes out into King Arthur as I go for the Wish. And I know that this one can't do anything to me, so he just toxics me. I don't really care, I am the synchronized set. And I go for Taunt, so it can't do anything versus me. And then I get the Wish and I'm back to full health minus the 6 I will lose from Toxic. He goes out into Weezing again. I'm pretty sure I go out into Program 2 here. This one can't really touch me, so he goes out into Gigas, and this is very nice. This is a very nice bring if he thought that I would bring Craze Program 2, because Slow Start actually halves all my stats on Program 2, making it half as bulky as it usually is. Which means that he can destroy it with almost every mon he has in his team. Which is pretty scary. But yeah, so now I have Slow Start in Program 2 and I go for Psychic, it does 8%, so I'm thinking it is AV. So I just switch out into Tangrowth here as he goes into Necrozma. I just go back out into Umbreon, because I know that this thing can't really touch Umbreon at all. And he just go for another one and I can just roll this thing out here with Toxic. Goes for Exisa, does almost no damage to me. I go for Taunt, so it can't set up. That's fine, really. And I just got into Dragapult, and here comes the Exisa. It does negative damage to me. Toxic almost kills the Necrozma, and I just click U-turn, killing the Necrozma. And then I go out into Tangrowth, which is at full health now. He goes out into Egg Slash, and then he goes out into Harajama, and I go for the knockoff, gets rid of whatever it has, and it is the Assault Vest set. So I think that it is physically defensive, bulky Harajama at this point with Assault Vest. But I don't think it was. I think it was more Spidef invested, which is kind of sad. You'll see later in the game. I missed the Leech Seed, which is bad, but it doesn't really matter. And because he misses his Toxic the next turn, and I go for knockoff, gets rid of his leftovers, and this thing is neutralized. Then I just go back out into Umbreon, take whatever he does to me, and then I can just Taunt or Wish up. It doesn't really matter at this point. He goes out into Weezing, because Weezing can do a good amount of damage to me. I just click Heal Bell here, of course. So it's a free one. I'm back to overfull, and I just go for the Taunt here in case it wants to do something, but it goes with Strange Stream, and I'm confused again. So at this point I just decided to stay in, thinking he would overpredict, and he does, so I just go for the Wish. And he goes for Toxic, doesn't really matter too much to me. But I almost lost Nightwish here because I got hit in Confusion. So if I would have been slower than him, and he would have gone for an attacking move, that could have been a bit of a problem, or if I would have gone... or if I wouldn't have gotten off the Wish the previous turn. That could have been really bad for me in this scenario, but I did, so I'm really happy at this point. I'm really healthy with Umbreon again. He goes on to Weezing. I go for Taunt, so he can't do anything, which is a very good play versus this team, it feels like. And I decide to switch out into Program 2, because this thing can't touch Program 2 and Strange Stream does nothing to me. So I go for the Psychic, almost killing this thing off. And he goes for Strange Stream. Doesn't really do too much to me, Taunt ended, but yes, he decides to switch out here as I go for another Psychic, which does negative damage to that thing. Toxics me, I don't really care, I just recover up and then I go out into... no, if I stay in this thing, yeah, and I get to fix that and I go for out into Dragapult, of course. And he can't really do too much to me here, but I can't do too much to him. So just in case he goes for the knockoff here, I decide to U-turn out into Tangrowth, and he goes for the knockoff, which means that I don't have my leftovers any longer in Tangrowth, but it doesn't really matter, Tangrowth has done its worth. So I do have Leech Seed, which gives me back way more health. Then he goes out into this thing here, and I missed the Toxic, it doesn't really matter in this scenario. I got into Porygon 2, as he goes for Fire Blast, it does no damage at all to me, stacks up a bit with Toxic, but it's okay. If I to Raging Aggron again, I get a slow start once more, which is a really nice thing to have here. I go for the Psychic, doing no damage to him. That's fine. Porygon on the stun is worth, I don't really need it any longer. It goes for Facade, which does nothing, and a Toxic this thing, making this thing useless unless it gets off the slow start, which will be very hard for it since it's Toxic. Goes for the Drain Punch, doesn't do a lot to Tangrowth, so I Leech Seed him, and between Leech Seed and Toxic, this thing is more or less dead. So it won't be able to do too much Media Scout due to Dragapult predicting another Facade, but it goes for Drain Punch, doesn't really matter too much, I'm back to full left with this thing, and I kill it off with a U-turn. So 2 kills for Dragapult so far in the game, and I'm up to 6-4, looking very good. I weaken this team a lot. He goes out into King Arthur here, so I go out into this, into Coco just to get a Volt Switch off to bring this down even longer. So I can go out into P2 here and take the Shadow Ball, which was pretty obvious. And I think I recover up here. I get the Volt Absorb and I recover up, yeah. And then I don't remember if I switch out to stay in with the Volt, so I think I switch out into Tangrowth. Because Tangrowth destroys this swing defensively, so it can't really do too much to me. And I take that pretty easily. It goes with Thunderbolt, does a good amount of damage to me, but I go for the EQ, and I will kill this thing off, which is big for me. At this point, he has nothing that can really defeat me. And looking at it, he goes for Brick Break here. He can play that out. It does 25% of health to me. I'm fine at this point. I am Life Orb on Tapu Koko, so that's a bit of a problem, I would say. But I should be able to kill it with Thunderbolt no matter what set it is. Here's the problem though. I forgot that it is just 1.3 boost from Electric Terrain this time around, so when I go for Thunderbolt, I think that I would kill. Problem is, without those 0.2 in the calculation, so instead of 1.5 I get 1.3 in strength from Thunderbolt, I cannot kill this Hariyama even after Assault Vest. It's impossible for me to kill Hariyama here. If I would have realized that, I would have clicked Volt Switch out into something, probably Tangrowth, and I would have won 6-0, but instead I go for the Thunderbolt. It lives on 7%, and it goes for EQ, and I'm dead. So I lost the 6-0 here, but instead I got into Arch Enemy, and I can just headball his team to death, and I win this match 5-0. I'm a bit mad that I didn't preserve Tapu Koko, because I could have gotten a 6-0 to start off with, but I do think that I played very well in this match, and the sets that Lords brought here wasn't the best versus the team that I brought. I think that he predicted some other monsters to come. But overall, this was a very easy team for me to deal with in the long run, because I didn't really have... Like, if I didn't have Heal Bell on Umbreon, this would have been way worse, but thanks to me having Heal Bell on Umbreon, I was able to preserve health in a lot of my mons, and thanks to the taunt on Umbreon, I was able to stop a lot of his mons from setting up and being just roll out of control, and I stopped him from subbing up, I stopped him from Toxic, so it was a very nice spring to bring that Umbreon set that I did. I'm still kicking myself for letting Tapu Koko die, but overall, this was a very nice win to start off with. It was really nice. Next week we are facing off versus Levity and the Toronto Weaviles. But yeah, overall this was a very nice match. I'm saying GG to Lords here as well, not just in the chat as you can see, I'm saying it in video as well, and I will write in comments. Yeah, but with that said, thank you for watching this video guys, and I will see you next time.